Please, Dad, I'm scared. The child trembled, looking toward Lam Luong, but his expression remained cold as ice. Don't, Dad. Please don't. Another child grasped Lam Luong's arm, but he pushed them away. The child burst into tears. Screams echoed. Lam Luong stood still, staring blankly into space. The children huddled together, trembling, their innocent eyes filled with fear. What happened on that evening? Where will the fate of the children lead? Let's delve deeper into this mystery in today's video. I'm Shannon 8X, and you're watching Cold Case Killers. In a tale reminiscent of many, yet unique in its tragedy, Lam Luong and Kieu Phan crafted a life together that was a blend of simplicity and the pursuit of happiness. Luong's journey began in the turmoil of the Vietnam War, born to a Vietnamese mother and an African-American serviceman. At the tender age of 14, he sought refuge in the U.S., embarking on a new chapter as a legal permanent resident, though he never took the step to become a U.S. citizen. Kieu Phan's path to the United States was marked by the hopes of a Vietnamese immigrant, envisioning a brighter future. Together they built a family adorned with the laughter and play of 4 children. Ryan Phan, a spirited 3-year-old from Kieu Phan's previous relationship, whom Luong embraced as his own. Hannah Luong and Lindsay Luong, their joyous toddlers, aged 2 and 1 respectively. And the newest addition, Danny Luong, at 4 months, a symbol of their continued love. Their household was further enriched by the presence of Kieu Phan's mother, Mrs. Dung Phan, and sister Tracy Phan, creating a vibrant family tapestry woven with love and mutual support. Yet the fabric of their family happiness began to unravel in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, as they sought a fresh start away from the wreckage of Bayou La Batre, Alabama, only to find themselves grappling with adversity in Hinesville, Georgia. The storm's shadow lingered as Luong faced unemployment, piecing together a living through transient jobs and fleeting opportunities. The return to Mobile County brought no solace. Luong's reputation as an addict and the notoriety of his lifestyle closed doors to employment. As desperation took hold, he sought escape in illicit love and cocaine's false solace, entangling his life in secrets and lies. The growing fissures in their relationship were further deepened by Luong's affair and his denial of its implications, insisting his lover was merely a friend amid Kieu Phan's growing suspicions. Their once harmonious life now bore the weight of Luong's choices, with Kieu Phan and the family bearing the financial and emotional burden. The descent into despair and discord marked a stark departure from their dreams, painting a poignant picture of a family caught in the storm of their own making. With each passing day, the fractures in Lam Luong and Kieu Phan's once harmonious relationship deepened, evolving into chasms of misunderstanding and hurt. Luong's spiraling descent into a cocoon of cocaine use and nocturnal escapades with his lover left Kieu Phan grappling with the financial strain of sustaining their family's needs. The tension culminated on January 7, 2008, in the confines of the nail salon where Kieu Phan worked. A fiery exchange was ignited by Luong's refusal to seek employment and his deepening moral degradation, which not only jeopardized their livelihood, but also cast a shadow over the future of their 4 children. Adding insult to injury, Luong brazenly demanded money from Kieu Phan to fuel his drug habit and infidelity. Pushed to her breaking point, Kieu Phan resisted. The thought of sustaining an unemployed man who squandered her hard-earned money on narcotics and an affair was unbearable. Yet in a desperate bid to encourage him to find work, she reluctantly handed over $32 for gas. The dispute escalated dramatically when Luong, in a defiant gesture, left with their children, proclaiming his independence from Kieu Phan's financial support. Amid the cold bite of the morning air, he overlooked the well-being of their 3 youngest, Hannah, Lindsay, and Danny, who were without coats or shoes in his haste, unlike their elder brother Ryan, who was adequately dressed. Kieu Phan, engulfed in anger, failed to intervene. Luong's decision to take the children away wasn't unprecedented. In the past, he had sought the tranquility of the park to shield them from their domestic conflicts. Perhaps, driven by the haunting memories of his own tumultuous childhood, he wished to spare them from similar anguish. However, this time was different from before, as Lam Luong decided to use cocaine to reduce stress. That was also the decision that Lam Luong would regret the most in his life. Caught in the grip of a cocaine frenzy, Lam Luong momentarily lost sight of his role as a father, his judgment clouded by the drug's powerful hold. In a chilling act that would later haunt him, he transported his 4 children to the precipice of the Dauphin Island Bridge. The unimaginable horror unfolded as he callously cast each child from the 80-foot height into the cold embrace of the Alabama coast below, executing a heinous crime that defied comprehension. Upon returning home, his demeanor was eerily tranquil, a stark contrast to the gravity of his actions. When Pan, fraught with worry, questioned the whereabouts of their children, Luong's response was a cold, mocking laughter that sent shivers down the spine of everyone present. He spun a deceitful tale, claiming he had entrusted the children to a woman named Kim, a lie that sowed seeds of terror and confusion among the family. Tracy Fan, Luong's sister-in-law, challenged him, disbelief etched into every word, unable to fathom that he could leave the children with a stranger. In a moment of overwhelming guilt, Luong broke down, tears streaming down his face. Yet given his notorious history with cocaine, his emotional outburst was misinterpreted as mere confusion, obscuring the grim reality of his actions. The following day, January 8, 2008, saw Pan and Lam Luong side by side at the police station, filing a missing persons report for their 4 children. Luong perpetuated his fabricated story, engaging in a feigned search that drew in the family and community, desperate to uncover the whereabouts of the mysterious Kim and the children last purportedly seen on Shellbelt Road in Bayou La Batre on January 7th. Luong spun a tale to the police, painting Kim as a benevolent figure who had offered food and clothing to the children, a story that quickly unraveled under the scrutiny of law enforcement's expertise. As the police delved deeper, discrepancies in Luong's account emerged, leading to separate interrogations where Pan requested a moment with Luong. It wasn't long before the weight of his guilt became unbearable, compelling Luong to confess to the unfathomable crime of throwing his children off the Dauphin Island Bridge. He was promptly arrested and faced the full force of the law. The disappearance of the children, followed by the harrowing revelation of their fate, sent shockwaves through Alabama and beyond. The tragedy galvanized not only the Vietnamese community in the U.S., but also people from diverse backgrounds, united in their resolve to find the children. A massive search operation ensued, drawing volunteers, law enforcement, and concerned citizens together in a display of communal solidarity. The collective effort and the overwhelming support from the community highlighted a profound sense of shared loss and disbelief. Despite the grim reality, a flicker of hope endured, fueling the relentless search efforts. This tragic tale underscored the stark contrast between the destructive path of one man and the boundless capacity for empathy and unity in the face of adversity. On January 10, 2008, Lam Luong made his initial court appearance to answer the 4 charges of murder. Mobile County Circuit Court Judge Charles McKnight denied him bond, reflecting the seriousness of the allegations against him. Lam Luong's defense attorney at the time released an audio tape to Fox 10 News in which Luong claimed that the children were still alive and being cared for by someone named Kim. Despite Luong's assertions on the tape, prosecutors remained steadfast in their belief that he was responsible for the deaths of the 4 children. The release of the audio tape added a layer of complexity to the case, but did not alter the prosecution's stance. The authorities continued to pursue justice for the victims, pushing forward with their investigation and legal proceedings against Lam Luong. The children's deaths attracted national media attention as rescue teams spent days combing miles of coastal land. However, Lam Luong's lawyer argued that there was racial discrimination in the investigation when the prosecutor firmly denied all evidence in favor of Lam Luong. This caused a lot of controversy in the community at that time, because Lam Luong was a quite special case in terms of his parents' origin. And from here, the tragic days began to continue in a crisis-filled way for Lam Luong, Q Pan, and everyone. On January 12, 2008, the body of 4-month-old baby Danny was found at Port-au-Pines, about a mile away from the bridge. The infant's body was discovered by a duck hunter. Investigators determined that the baby died from blunt force trauma and drowning. On January 13, 2008, the body of 3-year-old boy Ryan was found at Bayou Lafourche, approximately 3 miles west of where Danny's body was discovered. Volunteers searching on land found Ryan's body near the coastline. On January 15, 2008, the body of 1-year-old Lindsay was found near Jose Bay, directly west of the Alabama-Mississippi state line. On the same day, Lam Luong was provided with a Vietnamese interpreter at court to assist him in understanding legal terms. On January 20, 2008, the body of 2-year-old Hannah was found in Venice, Louisiana, approximately 100 miles from the Dauphin Island Bridge. January 26, 2008, about 600 people attended a memorial service for the children at Bayou La Batre, where they were later buried at Oddfellows Cemetery. Cards, gifts, and handmade memorials sent from across the country filled the Bayou La Batre Community Center. Kiufan and her family did not immediately want to comment on the incident. Kiufan and her family wished to stay out of the media and let law enforcement and the judicial system do their work. On April 1, 2008, Lam Luong pleaded not guilty to 5 counts of murder, 1 for each of his children and 1 for all of them together. On August 8, 2008, Lam Luong's defense attorneys requested the judge to change the venue due to the publicity surrounding the case. The judge allowed the defense team to conduct a public opinion survey to gauge public knowledge of the case. On October 15, 2008, Lam Luong's defense team requested permission from the judge to travel to Vietnam to interview Luong's family as he was facing the death penalty. However, on November 13, 2008, the judge denied the defense team's request to travel to Vietnam. This decision led to intense debate about racial discrimination in the case. Some extremists argued that Lam Luong would have been better served by the court if he had been white, rather than being of mixed race with black and yellow skin. Suddenly, on March 6, 2009, Lam Luong shocked the courtroom by pleading guilty to the murder of his 4 young children and expressing his desire for the death penalty. In a letter, he admitted to the horrific act of throwing his children from the Dauphin Island Bridge, expressing a profound desire to end his own life. Luong's sudden guilty plea caught both prosecutors and defense attorneys off guard, as they were in the midst of final preparations for his trial. Despite one of his lawyers being unaware of his intentions, the prosecutor ensured that Luong understood the gravity of his request and its consequences. The proceedings were conducted with the assistance of an interpreter to facilitate communication between Luong and the judge. Although Alabama law mandates that death penalty cases proceed to trial, the district attorney ultimately accepted Luong's guilty plea. However, jury selection would still commence as scheduled, with Luong's plea forming part of the evidence presented. Despite his request for the death penalty, the jury was likely to recommend a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. After long, intense days, the state appellate court annulled Lam Luong's death sentence on February 16, 2013. This decision sparked extreme outrage in the community over the crime Lam Luong committed. However, in 2014, the Alabama Supreme Court rejected the appeal and upheld Lam's conviction. In January 2018, 10 years after the murders, Lam's lawyer took surprising legal action, sparking significant public criticism. A 90-page petition from Lam Luong's lawyers cites a long list of newspaper stories from 2008 and 2009 and notes that hundreds of stories aired on television stations locally. Only 15 of 156 potential jurors said they had never heard of the case. A poll commissioned by the defense found that 84% of Mobile County residents had heard of the case, including 71% who were familiar with the defendant's decision to plead guilty and 71% who thought he was guilty. At the time of Luong's trial, the case was still receiving significant public attention, the opinion stated. The petition also highlights the prosecution and the court's errors as follows. The judge's refusal to allocate defense funds for travel to Luong's hometown in Vietnam to investigate his childhood. The decision to allow jurors to see the videotape of a Bayou La Batre police captain throwing 4 sandbags off the bridge without testimony from an appropriate expert on the formula used to calculate speed. The failure to appoint a Vietnamese interpreter registered with the state administrative agency of the court, with Luong's lawyer arguing that the translation was incomplete and led to serious errors. In the end, Lam's defense argued that he was not qualified to carry out the sentence due to intellectual disability. Experts from both the prosecution and defense determined that Lam was mentally incompetent, leading to his sentence being reduced from death to life in prison without parole. At the announcement, many in the mobile community expressed outrage. Even the judge, when reducing the sentence, stated his firm belief that although Lam was mentally disabled, he still knew what he was doing, saying Lam deserves to die for it, but still had to comply with the law. The case of Lam Luong is undeniably tragic and horrifying. The act of murdering one's own children is abhorrent and incomprehensible to many. It serves as a stark reminder of the depths of human depravity and the devastating consequences of untreated mental health issues, substance abuse, and domestic conflicts. Lam Luong's actions have left a permanent scar on his family, the community, and society at large. The loss of 4 innocent lives is a tragedy that cannot be overstated. The legal proceedings surrounding the case reflect the crime's gravity and the pursuit of justice for the victims. Ultimately, Lam Luong's case underscores the importance of mental health awareness, substance abuse prevention, and intervention in domestic violence cases. It highlights the need for comprehensive support systems for individuals and families facing challenges to prevent such tragic events in the future.